Today, we're going to go over the step-by-step process for cleaning a biomold car. So to detail a car, we're wearing full PPE gear to protect ourselves, as well as face masks. So when we get in the vehicle to clean things, we're not bringing it home to our families. So for the first step, we had to use chlorine dioxide gas. Now what that does is it sort of kills all the microbials that are in there, causing a lot of the smell. But this whole process is just about allowing a mechanic to be able to go in safely and clean things. Now that the chlorine dioxide is gone through the vehicle, we can then go in and agitate with disinfectants themselves. Disassembling of the car is something you do, especially when you have a lot of mold in the vehicle, because mold gets behind the creases and the seams. So to do that, you have to unplug everything. Then you take it outside or wherever you're going to work and then disassemble the part itself. So it's multiple disassemblies. The inside of the car had an absolute just dirt from everything you could ever imagine. Everything from cookies and candy to mouse nests. In fact, we found a mouse nest that was built inside of a child's bicycle helmet. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. Once everything is removed, we actually have to scrub or agitate the dirt off. So before that, we've sprayed it just to disinfect it, but it doesn't really remove the dirt. Once we pulled the leather out, we hit it with you saw the hand tool there. We hit the back seats with that. And at the same time, you can hit the carpets with that. So it rotates and it spins and basically chews up all the dirt. And then you can come in and either vacuum it or use a cloth. Once all of the carpets are out, then you actually have to wipe down the metal. Doing the seats or the carpet, there's something to keep in mind. When you over soak things, it takes a lot more time to dry them out. And if you don't dry them properly, you're back in the same position, meaning you're creating mold again. In most cases, when you're doing seats, you want to introduce the least amount of water possible. In this case, you kind of have to make a little bit of an exception because there's so much mold in between everything, including the cushion, that you kind of have to clean the cushion. But we let it dry for way longer than we would normally do. So on the door panels, they're a little bit interesting because there's electrical components in it versus something like a floor mat. So in this case, we have to be a little bit more precise. So you see us using toothbrushes and a little bit of compressed air. So the rest of the car is actually pretty simple. First, wash the outside. We polished the outside just for goodwill. We wanted to make it look a little nicer. In this case, we cleaned out the door jams. The door jams is the crux of the entire issue. They were so jammed up. In this case, it drained back into the vehicle, causing the mold. And then we had to put everything back together. We assemble a car like this. It's basically, like I said, a big jigsaw puzzle. And there's these little nuts and bolts that need to go in very specific areas. And if you're off by one little spot, it doesn't go back together and you fiddle with it forever. And so I would say that was probably 20 or 30% of the job, was just probably putting it back together. Learning a bunch of stuff about how to actually clean a car like this. It no longer is, quote, a biomold car. It's now safe enough where somebody can go into the vehicle, disassemble it, and sell it for its parts.